On Inside Out, there's a very, very cool lead guitar part, and it's Jimmy. I've figured out how to take the output of his amp and run it through a Leslie. So that's what's in the middle. It's Jimmy's amp running through a big Leslie speaker. Jimmy loved rhythmic patterns, and he would come up with these amazing licks that, to this day, people still trying to figure out, what did he do? Because he would play rhythm and lead at the same time, and in between the rhythm part, there'd be all these little lead parts sort of melded in and out of what he was playing, and it was just so hard to play. I mean, guitar players would try to analyze what Jimmy did. It's like, what? He did how? How does that work? You know. So he played bass on this, and he did all the guitar parts, and this track finally became Easy Rider. This was the essence of it. Mitch Mitchell on drums. So you can imagine it's just Mitch and Jimmy in the studio, no bass, and that's how they would record this sometimes, because if they didn't have a bass player, Jimmy obviously is a great bass player. An exciting track, something for the fans. Hey Gypsy Boy. This was recorded in March of 1969. And this is the genesis. We were talking earlier about how Jimmy liked to start a song at a certain point in time, and then it grew into something else. This is a perfect example. This actually became Hey Baby, New Rising Sun. But this is the original recording of the track, and it's got Buddy Miles on drums, and of course Jimi Hendrix, and of course he probably played bass on this as well. But it just shows the transition of how a song starts at one point and becomes something else by the time it's finished. Mojo Man. Jimmy had two very dear friends in New York at the time, Arthur and Albert Allen, who were twins, and they later became known as quote-unquote the Ghetto Fighters. And they did sing background vocals on quite a few tracks. I recorded them at Electric Lady, and they were always very up and very upbeat, and they were pretty decent singers, but they had recorded a track at Muscle Shoals in Alabama, and they figured, well, maybe Jimmy would help us, maybe he could play some guitar, so they brought the tapes back to New York, and Jimmy very kindly overdubbed guitar on it. So it's Jimi Hendrix overdubbing on a really interesting horn-laden Muscle Shoals track. And finally, I mixed it. But this one really is a head scratcher at times. But you know, when you listen to it, Jimmy's talent was so great that he could play like a session guy. But yet, it's so distinctive. You know, it's Jimmy. You can't mistake it's Jimmy. You know, and the solo is amazing, of course. Villanova Junction Blues. Now, at Woodstock, we all know the version from there, but this is where he started. This is the original version of the song that we recorded, same session as we did Hear My Train and Bleeding Heart and all of that from '69. He never finished it, and for me this is great because it shows how fertile his ideas were, and this was just the little germ of an idea. But I love it in its incompleted form. It just shows what the future is going to bring.